But I suppose that's what makes in this era the art of the deal, Donald Trump's book, not a business book, but a political book, because there's a political manual for this era, possibly, because there's a whole chapter in it about how one very important strategy in business is to take something that was never on the table, that was a decided matter, and suddenly raise it from the dead again as an open active file and poke at that as a way of using it as leverage to get something else.
And at the same time, throw out other stuff, right? 51st state,
right.
Going to take Greenland. There's a word that wasn't mentioned today by him anyway.
Mhm.
Put all these things out there and see, and I'll take that.
That's right. So you don't, in the end, you don't get that, but you get those other things that you really wanted at the beginning
That you knew all along.
That's right. Art of the deal.
Art of the deal.
Maybe it's time to read it again.
I think that because of what they just said, like that art of the deal thing, I think that Trump's presidency is, in the most ironic twist imaginable, is going to make him actually a figure for peace. Not because like he actually wants to be, but because of both his incompetence, his self-interest, and his craving for validation among his peers. And I think all of that will derail like American imperialism in ways that the other option could not, or anybody else, any other buddy who was president historically has ever done. He doesn't have the intelligence or ideology to be like a competent imperialist. And I think that unintentionally makes the world slightly less dangerous. And I think like the first thing to understand about Trump is that he's not a strategic thinker. He doesn't care about long-term goals for like American hegemony or the ideological framework of liberal imperialism. He cares about himself, his image, his legacy, and being seen as a winner. That's why he ended up doing things like meeting directly with Kim Jong-un. It wasn't because he had a vision for denuclearization or peace in the Korean Peninsula. It's because he wanted to look like the first guy to do something big and flashy with a historical enemy. And guess what? He did it and it worked. And Democrats and Republicans alike would never touch something like that because they're too committed to the rules of American foreign policy. And that's the thing, is that Trump doesn't know the rules. And even if he does, he just simply doesn't abide by them. The second thing is that Trump's inability to build any type of functional team is a feature, not a bug, right? He, like I've said a million times, that I've heard other people say, is that Trump likes to take his picks from the market and bring them to slaughter. He's alienated John Bolton, Dick Cheney, those types of the neocons of the world, the people who make American imperialism effective for the most part. His first term was basically a revolving door of half competence and absolute political hacks and clowns. And I feel like that's probably going to happen again to a much accelerated degree because he has nothing to lose this time around. And I think that dysfunction weakens the machinery of U.S. power at home and abroad. Instead of a unified imperial strategy, you get chaos, trade wars with China that hurt America more than they hurt China, abrupt troop withdrawals or troop deployments that leave the U.S. and their allies scrambling militarily, and failed attempts at long-term strong-arming long-term countries into submission. I think that all of those things are bad for the U.S., and when you look at it in comparison to the rest of the world, I think it's a reprieve from the kind of cold, calculated, liberal imperial destruction that you would see under someone like Kamala Harris. Narcissism also works against the efficiency of American imperialism because he wants to be admired by the world's big men, Putin, Xi, Kim Jong-un, not out of respect, but because he wants to see himself in their ranks. And that's why he's willing to go off script and do things that no other American president would, like considering lifting the Cuban blockade. And if someone, stroked his ego enough, they would, right? Like, he doesn't see foreign policy as a tool for maintaining global dominance. He sees it as a stage where he can get applause and where he can leave a legacy on history. And that makes him very unpredictable, which is terrible for US allies and institutions that rely on the stability of liberal imperialism and its goals. And so I think the real danger isn't Trump, it's a competent administration. And I feel like a Harris presidency would have brought back the neocon liberal interventionist all-stars, the people who know how to execute American dominance with brutal efficiency, while Trump, on the other hand, is just like a bull in a china shop, for lack of a better term. He's going to break things. He's going to alienate allies. He's going to make very dumb moves that are going to undermine U.S. power. And all of this is not in any way an endorsement or argument for Trump, but it's a grim material reality. His incompetence might accidentally open up cracks in American imperialism that no one else would dare to create.